You're listening to a DM podcast.
Welcome to Over the Back Fence. I'm Di Edwards.
I'm Nicola Dale, and we're buddies of nearly 4 decades. And yes, we actually do happen to share a back fence.
We do. We love parties, people, inspirational stories, and honestly, making the most out of life.
So join us as we open our hearts, share our stories, and hear from some of the most inspirational people in the world, and have a laugh along the way.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Hi guys, this episode's brought to you by Air Women, experts in natural hormonal health for women over 40. Bear in mind it's Air spelled E-I-R.
Yeah, they're products, they're designed to support energy, which we love,
We love that.
mood, sleep,
Love that. Love
and
that.
more, helping you feel your best.
Oh, what more could you want?
We want
and
that.
honestly, we actually love them.
Absolutely
We really
love
do.
it.
And look, if you want to get a 20% discount, just use the OTBF 20 at checkout for an exclusive Backfence listener discount.
eirwomen.com.au. Go get onto
Yahoo,
it.
and have your best
Woohoo.
life.
Woohoo, Jodie.
yay.
We're sitting on the couch.
What a nice change.
I like that.
Yeah.
Now, are you still
more
buzzing?
comfy.
Are you still buzzing from the weekend?
I'm buzzing. Yeah, it was a big weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people I see and they're like, oh yeah, I didn't really do much, A or B. Oh, yeah, life's this. And I just go, oh my God, wake up. We're not here for long. We've got more years behind us and in front of us. Stand up and be counted. And like you and I do, we squeeze the juice out of life. And that's what we did on Friday
We
night.
sure did. So on Friday night, we were MCs, which is a great honour, and it was 300 women.
Yeah, I was mad.
In the gala
Yeah.
ballroom at Double Bay, and it was sort of people talking about finance, but the whole thing, it was also inspiration, mentoring young people, listening to older people, and vice versa.
Yes.
And gee, it was fun. I've never seen a more glamorous crowd, really.
And
all these
you know
young
what,
women in their
and how
beautiful
much fun
dresses.
was it,
and
all of them talking to her, saying, you look amazing.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? Like, all just celebrating that. And also through the whole night after a few drinks, I thought the main thing that surfaced for me was how many women said, wow, it's just women.
yes.
And I went, so what does that mean to you? It's just so uplifting and fun and freeing, and I'm excited. I'm like a little girl. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I agree
That
with
blew
you.
me
And it was
away.
really great because it was not anti-men either.
No,
it was
God,
just one of
no.
those things
No.
also in all areas of life it was like building confidence, building financial wealth, building all these things that people didn't talk about beforehand. It actually then makes you a better partner. It
Yeah.
makes you all these sort of things there. So it was just such a great night. And we're going to
And
do a bit
the
more
word
of it.
financial fitness, I love. That
I
resonated
love
with me.
that
That's when I ran
too.
across the stage at one stage. I went in high heels.
I
and went-
loved it. Guys
Yeah,
never
it
looked
was-
fitter. It was good.
I was, I was
There was
really
like
impressed.
a little trip, but talk about running and sport. We are excited because who have we got with us right now? There's a talk about no dribble.
She's good
There's
with
no dribble
continuity,
here.
isn't she? It's a fabulous
goodie.
thing.
What a
Yeah.
good
Tie
I
in
tell you
that
what,
one.
it's going to be an absolute cracker of an episode because we have got two powerhouse women who know sport, banter, and keeping it real. The fabulous Catherine Cox and Carolyn Swindell, hosts of the No Dribble Potty. And if you haven't heard it, you've got to tune in. And also Liz Ellis is a co-host too, but she'll join us another time, I think.
She
can
will.
join the back fence there. Well, these ladies, they've done it all, from elite netball to broadcasting, coaching, writing books, stand-up comedy. Well, we're pumped and we want to hear more.
Hey, guys.
So
Welcome
welcome
to the
Yes.
couch.
Woohoo.
On the couch.
Firstly, I was not there on Friday night, but I've got to say congratulations because keeping 300 women quiet whilst they're drinking.
Yes.
Do you know
Oh,
what
yes,
I did?
that's
Holy
true.
hell,
Yep.
I did this.
Oh, yeah.
Did you?
I actually did that.
did, yeah.
And that was a really low tone one. But it worked. They were
Yeah.
like, Jesus, what was that?
Well, it's a
Yeah,
great sign of respect, I think, to the both of you that they were quiet. So well done, because
Well,
that would have been
thank
a
you.
tough
Thank
crowd.
you.
It's a great life skill to be able to do that big whistle.
Yeah, I get cabs that way.
I don't know where it came
Well,
from.
I think
Having
she's one of
brothers.
eight. So, yeah, she's one of eight.
One of
so,
eight?
One of
Yeah,
eight, Dodie.
Wow.
So,
Where are you in birth order?
Third eldest.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
Now,
does that
do you-
mean? Are you very responsible?
No, I'm very era
Nice.
responsible.
Okay. You
I
could
can
just
be responsible.
kind of get lost in the numbers when you're a third of
Sometimes,
eight. Yeah.
I think, to be honest with you, sometimes you get lost in the wash. Sometimes you stand up and be the one and only, and you just roll with the punches, so to speak. And it's a good gift, I think, for life.
Yeah,
in that
absolutely.
sense. But I was thinking, driving in, I was thinking, I played netball once, and I was thinking, God, I'm one of 5 girls. Why didn't we play?
You almost had a team.
Well, we did have a team.
We did,
It's
exactly.
true.
Yeah,
But the thing is that I think Mum didn't have the time maybe to drive
Yeah.
us around to all the various sports.
So none of the girls played?
No.
Wow.
And
It's opposite.
look, I did, and I lost my front tooth. The girl's elbow bit.
In the one game
She-
you played, you lost a tooth.
Well, at school you play a bit at lunchtime,
Yeah.
and her elbow took my tooth out, and I went, that's it for me
out.
with netball.
Yeah.
And a toothless terrier. But she was such a bitch, that girl. But that's another story.
Yeah, she was a goal shooter, wasn't she?
Yeah, she bloody well
Catherine is Australia's most successful goal shooter.
will have you know. But yeah,
knows.
anyway.
But we want to hear more
but
about
talk
you.
about your acclimate. You were a brilliant netballer.
Oh, absolutely. I loved it. I was just going to say that it was always my dream to play for Australia, so I really wanted to be like you.
What
But
was your position?
I was wing attack.
Ah,
Yeah, I
nice.
was wing attack.
I
as
could
a-
tell that you were a centre court
Could you
person.
tell? Yeah, I was
I
rather. I was wing attack.
I can see ribbons too.
I
Can you see
yeah, oh,
ribbons?
that's true. So when I was younger, at the school there, we were Victorian state champions. One of the biggest highlights of my life was then we actually had to play at Festival Hall back in those days, and so we were like the curtain raisers for Australia versus Jamaica,
Wow.
and it was so exciting. But more exciting than that was when the headmaster called us in, and I was the captain, and he said, "You girls have been selected to go on Hey Hey It's Saturday." so we to play netball. So they had this thing, and so it was like a young girl there because we were state champions. We got to do. So we saw Aussie Ostrich, Daryl Summers, and it's interesting how that's all coming back into
Yeah,
the sort of vibe
incredible.
again. But so I really want my mum's best friend back in the 50s Jan Steele played for Australia. And so with that, my dad was a sports, he played for the Bombers and Premiership side. So I've come from a sporty family. And so as a young girl then, that was my dream to do that. And then ended up when I went to I went up going to private school. It was fairly small. It wasn't competitive. I played sort of outside of it. And then boys came along. I was an exchange student and all of a sudden then, so I didn't pursue it. But I really admire, all the traits and the things like that. So tell us about
Such
I'd love
a
to hear,
commitment.
yeah, but how did you get into netball?
Well,
Like,
stuff
tell us
playing
about
for
you.
Australia. I was never on Hey Hey It's Saturday. I think I'm
thinking that.
would have
How did
preferred
she
that.
get on?
Exactly.
Gosh.
I always thought it was you in that
Ripped
plucker
off.
duck suit,
Yeah.
It was someone tall.
Isn't it funny those things that stand out for as a young kid? It still goes as one of my life highlights.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, well,
Seeing
it was my
that,
favourite,
it
one of my
was huge.
favourite
Remember
shows.
that
Yeah.
because everyone watched it. Everyone
Yes.
watched it.
It's
It
true.
wasn't like streaming or whatever else. There were 3 shows on, and that was the one. And
was
if you
it.
hadn't watched it, you missed the conversation.
That and
So-
Bewitched,
That's right. Yes, yeah.
the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yes,
And
true.
Hey Hey It Was Saturday.
But
That
Cath,
was the
tell me a
limit.
bit about you with netball. How did it get in your, is it your blood or?
Well, I didn't start till I was 11, which is actually quite late,
It is.
considering
Wow.
a lot of the young players now, they start
State
net set
champion
go
by
when
this
they're about...
stage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see,
come on.
there you go. I could have been so much better. And the reason
I know.
the reason I actually...
backhand compliment.
I know,
isn't it?
Wasn't it? I love that.
We love it.
The reason I played was because my sister was playing. She was a couple of years older, but they were doing cartwheels on the netball court and laughing and having fun with their friends. And I was like, I don't know what this is that you're doing, but I want to be doing that. And it was from the moment I started to the moment I retired at 38. So I played for a very long time. It was all about that social thing for me. And I don't know that I would have ever been any good in an individual sport. It was always just having your team there, having people to laugh with, and the stories on tours and on the road. And I mean, I couldn't tell you what happened in any given netball game, but I can tell you what happened on the road, because there was always some great story that came from it, a laugh to be had. But even when it's hard, you've got a group of people around you that will help you get through those moments as well. But you've also got those great people to celebrate with when things go well as well. So it's
so
team sport.
competitive too. I mean, to be an elite athlete is just, you'd have to take your hat off to that, because, what gives you the edge, really? What is the drive there to make you sort of be an elite? Because it's not an easy gig.
It's not. And do you know what? I sometimes I'm shocked that I was actually ever a professional athlete, because if there's a shortcut to be taken, I will take it. But there was a moment in my career that I decided I really did want to persist. I think I was very lucky in that I was tall, that I was
Number
probably
one,
given
yeah.
more opportunity than a lot of other
Yeah.
players. And I might have taken that for granted in the early days until the point that I was like, well, hang on, I actually want to be here. And now there's people that are just as tall as I am. I have to pull my finger out and work hard. And that happened when I made the Australian team for the first time. So I was very lucky in that it was quite an easy run to get there. But staying in the team, by far the hardest part. And that was really good for me because I had to adjust my way of thinking, my training ethic, a lot of things. And I think they were all really good things that set me up for then 16 years in the Australian side after that.
What about burnout? Did you ever get to the stage, I can't keep doing this, I'm so exhausted?
I absolutely
I'm exhausted
did.
reading your calibre and everything you've done. I was exhausted.
Yeah, do you know,
Truly.
I did, and it was actually the last time I ever played for Australia. I was completely cooked. I had a full-on domestic coach that was training us 2 or 3 times a day, and then Australian commitments were on top of that. Everyone else seemed to have been injured or they'd been away and had breaks for pregnancy or for honeymoons or for whatever else, and I had never had a break. And I actually went to my Australian coach and said, I have to step back for the greater good. I want to keep playing, but I need to have some time off. I'm absolutely spent, and I was never selected again.
Oh, that's
Wow.
interesting.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
it had to happen,
Yep.
and I think I would potentially have been dropped anyway because I was so done.
Yeah.
But I had to make the decision that I just needed, if I was going to commit to another 4-year cycle, which is our Commonwealth Games are every 4 years and then the World Cup's the year after, I had to have some time off.
Yeah.
What about your body? How did your body how's your body then and how's your body now as a consequence of 16 years of playing competitive netball?
Yeah, look, touch wood, I didn't have any massively major injuries that kept me out.
I mean, she looks amazing.
I know. I did. I mean, I broke a
both do.
nose. I've done every ligament in my ankles. I've rolled my ankle walking down the street now just because they're done. But I never did an ACL or an Achilles or anything.
And you've got long, beautiful fingers too.
Well, that helps
because
to catch
sometimes,
netballs,
yes,
yes.
exactly.
But now the body, like as a consequence of pushing your body.
No, I'm good.
Wow,
I'm really
I'm so
nervous about
impressed.
saying that out loud.
No, it's great.
But no, I'm
Good to
pretty,
hear.
I'm pretty
Still,
good.
like for people
Great.
listening to, is it becoming more popular netball? You know, and for blokes as well too, because you know there's the mixed teams and social teams and stuff too. Is it sort of like really becoming more popular?
Yeah, look, I don't think the female side of the game's gotten more popular. It's had the biggest base of any female sport in our country for years. There's a million plus people involved in the game every single week. It's nuts. But definitely the men's side of the game has stepped up a lot. We've seen them being broadcast in the last couple of years, Australian, New Zealand games. They've got their own domestic competitions. They're incredible athletes, and we often use them now as training partners. So the Australian Diamonds will play against the men for training partners because, I mean, there's no one else that the world champions can play against that's going to give them a good run.
How did Carolyn enter into this podcast?
Yeah, we want to know about the whole
Dribble.
friendship thing
With
too.
Liz
And
Ellis
with Liz.
and
Where do you fit in?
So we've been friends for 20 years.
I
Oh,
know
I love
that.
yeah. So
With who? With both of you? With Liz
Yes.
Ellis
yeah.
as
So
well?
Liz and Cath have
Wow.
obviously been friends for a long time
Yes.
before that. But this was a friendship making exercise for me. I had a plan on this. I was working for Coca-Cola Amatil, and I just moved to Sydney, and I had this job as the community relations manager, community engagement, community affairs, can't remember. Anyway, community something for Coca-Cola Amatil.
Wow.
Now, Amatil's the Australian
gig.
bottler, and they were worried that they weren't having the identity separate from the big American brands. And so they said, your job is to reconnect us with the community, and you have no staff and no budget, but you have one here. And so, okay.
No stuff, no budget.
Off you go.
So I went
La, la,
sniffing
la.
around the company. What can I do? There's lots of, I could get lots of product and things. And anyway, I knew that from a previous job that Macquarie Bank Sports worked with Liz Ellis and these all-girls sports tours. And they had I talked to them and I said, what can we do? How can we partner? Here's what I've got. And he said, we've got this Liz Ellis multi-sport tour, I
Something
think it was.
like that, yeah.
So it was netball, it was hockey, it was softball, it was soccer. Like Cheryl Salisbury, who was then the captain of the Matildas, was there. And they were taking these sports camps, day-long workshop things around Moree, Dubbo. Where do we go?
Everywhere. We
Yeah.
drank
Fun.
every pub dry.
So I said, that's what I want in on, because I knew that, and I said, and I have to go. And so it was, and that was, I didn't need to be there to see that the sponsorship was going fine because that was all happening. But I thought, they seem like fun because I've been listening to them on morning radio when they used to be on Triple J with Adam and Will. And I thought, I bet we'd be friends in real life if we met.
Wow.
And here we are. And so we just, Cath and I just had a long overdue lunch, sort of the December before last.
At one of the pubs.
It was a
Oh, no,
seafood
we're
restaurant, in
far,
fact.
far snazzier these days. We went to a restaurant.
Oh, okay.
And just said, how
The
can we
bubbles
work
came
together?
out.
And then
Pop
we
the champagne.
came up with the podcast.
Yeah.
And then we said, well, I suppose we should invite Liz to participate
I love
too.
that.
So, yeah.
Bring her along.
So that's, and this is, we've never worked together before, have we? But it's been great. Yeah.
And what a great name. Who thought of it, the name?
Well, it was actually, so one of the ladies that we used to play with in the Australian Diamonds, one of the funniest people I know, and she always used to say that netballers do it without dribbling.
Yes.
Taking the piss out of basketball.
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly.
And then
That's it.
we were talking about that phrase, and then it just turned into no dribble.
So it was you. It was you who brought it
I'll
up.
take
You
credit for
remember
it.
that. Yeah.
It's brilliant. The name, it speaks, doesn't it?
It doesn't it?
Thousand
It's-
words.
yeah, it is.
Absolutely, 100%. So podcast, what a platform.
Well,
Freedom.
and this is the thing. We have this incredible sport where there are so many people not just playing but still involved, giving countless hours of their time, loving the sport to death, and no one's talking to them. No one's. It's all sort of like, well, here's the results from the elite games, and everything else that happens at the community level is just sort of kept at that individual level. But no one was really saying, hey, what an amazing community we're part of, and these wonderful experiences that we have. So we wanted to create it sort of a sense of, when you are driving with your friends to a netball carnival, or you're sitting there all day waiting for your games, and the chats that you have, and just when you have that sort of free time with your friends, and the endless ambling and the permutations that the conversation takes. And that's what we wanted to create. And I think we have, haven't we? Yeah.
And I'm not into netball, and yet I've listened to a few of the podcasts, and I was fixated and laughing. And it was, like you go into detail about netball, and I'm like, okay, with their personalities will bring that around, and it did.
Yeah.
And it was the one I was
And
just
it's
listening
friendship and it's all those connections and laugh and girlfriends having fun too, isn't
It's
it?
true.
You know, like, which we all
Well,
love.
Liz saying that she can't lip read.
Yeah.
I think that was in your last part. And I'm in the car. I was in the tunnel laughing my head off. And then you guys were down in Parliament.
Oh, yes. I
And you
nearly
were going to
passed
have a
out
little
in Parliament
dizzy
House,
moment.
Yeah.
But with someone's legs under the appetite. Oh, guys, you've got to listen. It's the last podcast.
So
no
tell us, so
dribble.
you were hanging out with the PM, huh?
Yes, we were.
As you do.
A couple of weeks ago. Yeah,
Yes.
good. We go down every year. We take. I'm with Fox Sports now. I
Yes,
do the
yes.
netball commentary, and we take a lot of our talent down there, and we do a big showcase down there. So Liz came down this year as part of her role with the chair of Netball Australia.
Yes.
It's the first time she's been down there, and it's great. We go to Parliament House. We have a good chat with them for 3 hours or so. We have the official photos with the PM, all that sort of stuff.
We lie down on the floor
Yeah, this year I had a little pass out.
Just wheel her out.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
oh
no,
my
it's
God.
good. It's good fun. We do a lot of that stuff, and then we go and have a few drinks
And
afterwards.
does Elbo's fiance, does she play netball? Do you know? Is she a netballer?
I don't know, but there is typically a connection with most males, isn't there? Whether it's their mum, their wife, their daughters, or
Right.
whoever.
'Cause I was
plays
upset.
it.
I
Wells,
get
the
that.
sports minister, is
Yeah.
very
Very
she loves
into
her
it.
netball, doesn't
Yeah.
she?
But
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
so
that's
good. I think
handy.
like all sports, you know, it's just such a great thing, you know, for community, for teamwork, for friendship. Sometimes missing out, you know, it's tough. You don't make the gig, but
Going
they're
on
kind of
Hey
like,
Hey
from
you know,
Saturday.
you know,
Yeah,
hey,
it's
Saturday.
But it is true. You are right, though.
And it's funny because my dad was saying, you know, we played AFL, and so at lunch time or mid-time, sort of like in the sporting game, he would come up and say to the, you know, coach, going, "You're doing a wonderful job." He said, "But can I just have a few little words with the girls there?" And I was younger, and he'd go, "Look, you're doing all beautifully." He said, "But when they're not looking," he
Yeah,
said,
it's very
"just
dumb.
elbow them." He said, like that, or trip them over, or hip them, or do this sort of stuff. He was doing all the AFL footy stuff,
Yes.
whereas I mean now, you know, you'd get in so much trouble
That's
for
how
that.
girls
you know,
lose
but
a tooth on
exactly,
their only
that's
game of
right. And that
netball,
came from
though,
my
isn't it,
dad.
Di?
You know, like,
Seriously.
oh, you
I
can
was
break a few
innocent.
rules.
I do love that. I think Victoria
funny.
and Adelaide do it really well, though, in that a lot of the football teams and the netball teams are joint
Yes,
in
yeah.
coming through the ranks. We don't do that here. So there is a really
really?
great relationship between
Particularly
the AFL
in the
teams.
country clubs, isn't
more
it?
Yeah,
so.
but it's
Then you
right
break a few
throughout.
rules. You do
Yeah, it's
this, and you have
fantastic.
fun, and you
Yeah.
I
go,
mean,
yes.
we all do it. We just don't say it out loud.
That's it, that's it.
And I'm sure some of the netball mums are a little bit.
Well, I'm coaching
Oh, yeah.
10
How's that?
9-year-old girls, and I
wow.
started when they were 7.
Wow.
You cannot shut up 10 7-year-old girls. It is impossible. The mums stayed out of it, and I think it was probably lucky because I was who I was.
Yes.
So they're not going to arc up. I know what I'm talking about. Shut up.
Yeah. It's something I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but it's a challenge, isn't it? We all actually coach our daughters, don't we? Because Carolyn
Yeah.
coaches hers, Liz is coaching her daughter and has for a number of years. And it's a challenge, but
It
it's
would
also
be.
great fun.
I would be if you
And Caroline, you're a comedian.
I
Did
am.
you start that later on in life?
I did.
or-
I
so
started
tell us
that-
your story.
Gosh, I think I was 49 and
I'm loving this.
yeah.
Goodness.
And I just had a bit of an itch. I just thought, and it wasn't something that a cream.
Where was
I was
it?
worrying. I'm glad you defined that.
We've all had a little itch.
seriously.
In the few years before that, I'd been writing, and then I saw a call out for contestants on Hard Quiz, and I went on that, and I had a great
did you?
time.
Yes,
and
yeah.
then I went on Think Tank and had a great time. And I just thought, how do I keep having this sort of experience? And Liz was hosting a radio show at one stage and got me on there to talk about cocktails because I was writing a blog about cocktails, and I just was really enjoying it. And then I thought I should try stand-up comedy. And
Just like that.
yeah, but my plan was to do it once, try it, and that would be that would just scratch that itch there. That would be. I just wanted to see if I
very
could do
gutsy.
it. And
It's huge.
Just the thought of it.
And was it for the personal challenge as well?
yeah, it was. And so I entered raw comedy, which I did everything the wrong way. You're meant to sort of get quite a lot of experience and then do raw comedy, and then you win raw comedy, and then your career it lifts off. But you can only do it 3 times. So I did raw comedy, and my goal was, I don't know if I can be funny, so my measure of success will be to be well prepared. So I worked this material, got it as funny as I could, and I got up and I did it, and I didn't panic and I didn't choke. And so I finished and I walked off the stage. You're meant to go backstage. I forgot that briefly. I walked down into
the
the
bar?
audience
Into
like
the
I was
audience.
Oprah.
I think there is a few resemblance there of Oprah.
And I went to
Yeah.
that with my
in the
friends,
audience.
and it wasn't until about 3 acts later when I'd had a couple of drinks and I went, oh, look, they're going backstage. That's right. I remember now. That
you went to go.
She's fallen off.
Back to the green room. Oh, that's so
I
funny.
actually went to see Arj Barker. He's a seasoned bloody
Yeah.
comedian. But I just looked at him, I thought, God, how scary I always get frightened for them because they're standing up to make us laugh.
Yeah.
And my first thought is, what if
So
no one
much
laughs,
pressure.
you know?
I feel like it's like a game of golf, though. You just need one good hit or one laugh.
that's a good
Yeah.
Does it, to give
and
you...
that's what you learn is so for my 5-minute set, the first one, it was all wrong. It was fine, but it was like I told one story. It was a good, interesting story with a big laugh at the end. Now, in a 5-minute set, you want a laugh within the first 7 seconds, and you want to have about 4 laughs a minute. That's
interesting,
Yeah,
isn't
because
it?
if people get a laugh out of you straight away, then they're more willing to laugh. So it's like that one good hit thing that it's like, okay, confidence is there. I'm feeling better.
Otherwise, you don't hit it. I hate this game.
Yeah,
God, I hate
exactly.
golf.
True, yeah.
And then hit again. I love golf. Golf's one of my
Golf's the greatest.
favourite
And I am the greatest at golf. Yeah.
There's no one better
Yeah.
till the next one.
And so did that start then going right on into it? So
No,
that was-
so I went,
okay.
that's it. I'm done. I don't ever need
Yep.
to do
Stop.
that again.
One
I'm
and done.
satisfied.
Yep.
And then 11 months later, I saw the advertising for Raw again. I thought, I'll just give it a go. And then, so the next
Was
set
the
was...
itch back?
Well, these things are hard to get rid of. But so I did it again, and then I was sitting backstage, and I heard a couple of young comedians who I've subsequently worked with talking about how they were doing a fringe show later. And I felt weird because I was much older than any of them, and I've got no experience. I'm the new kid in this industry, but I'm their grandmother, basically.
At 49.
Yeah.
I love this.
But I heard them talking about, we're doing a fringe show. And so the next morning I woke up, again with a massive hangover, because my husband gets so nervous. He doesn't anymore, but he used to get so nervous that
Isn't that cute for
we'd have
you?
this massive
That.
celebration
Oh, wow.
when I'd come
Yeah.
off stage. And so the next day I thought, well, I don't know what it is, but I'll do a fringe show. And that was at Sydney Fringe Festival, which is in September. And so I'd had 10 minutes stage experience and thought, I'm doing an hour show in
Oh my
September.
God.
So,
An
yeah.
hour show.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
And tell us, how did that
Wow.
go?
It went really well. It was that show was, I was shortlisted for Best in Comedy for that show, but
Oh,
I've never,
congratulations.
thank you, but I've never been as scared and as aware of the fact that I am now standing on a high wire here, and I don't know whether I'm up. I put myself into that position before I was ready, and I managed to sort of, I think scraped through, actually. Like it wasn't, I honestly, it's a surprise that I got that nomination. But no false modesty. It was like a panic in the last few days. I had a room full of family and friends. So whenever I made a joke and it was clear it was a joke, they
They're all family and friends in the audience. I love that. Hey, you speak of transition. I mean, like you're talking 49 stand-up comedy. To me, it's one of the gutsiest things you can do. In your case, Catherine, going from netballing, I think it was 16 years, that's a long friggin' time, let's be honest, and moving into things like commentary and podcasting, to inspire people listening right now that a lot of women have fear around change. A lot of people, should I say, have fear around change. And, I'd love you to tell your story around that, because that is such an inspiration to say, hey, you can
Start
on the
again at
turn of
any
a die.
age.
Exactly.
And it's
At
really
any
interesting
age.
because the day I said, I'm done, I'm retiring, I was just such a weight lifter because I thought, I don't have to put myself outside my comfort zone anymore. I don't have to jump off buildings. I don't have to run up mountains in 40-degree weather. The stuff that we got put through that's meant to bring out your inner whatever it is was bullshit. And
Warrior
I hated
woman.
every minute of it. And I thought, this is not making me a better athlete. Testing your resilience, sure, whatever. But I was so glad to retire and not have to do that unless I wanted to. And then you realise that you're out of your comfort zone all over again because you're in a new career that you know nothing about. And I was so naive to that thought.
Frightened? Was it like trepidation, or was it
No,
like
I was
easy?
just
Because you're kind of in the world of a netball bubble in one way too, aren't you? I
Yes.
can only imagine for that many, years of it. And
Yeah.
then you're in sort of like free rolling.
But it was an easier transition for me in that I then went back into a netball team, pretty much. I went to Channel 9, who was the director of netball, was an ex-player. Yeah. Liz Ellis was there. I was surrounded by players that I had played with as part of this netball commentary team. So that was easy. But I had said no time after time after time. I just thought, I won't be any good at this. That's not for me. I actually want to walk away from netball and do something completely different because I'm so done with netball. I'm sure I can do something else. And then when people
Comes
come
a
at
pilot.
you and it's easy and you're just like, okay, I'll give it a crack. And it's the best bloody job in the world. I'm so grateful that these people put their faith in me and kept pushing me to do it. And I just had these great cheerleaders. And that's what being a part of a team is all about. You're just surrounded by awesome cheerleaders. No one's scared about you taking over their role or challenging them for a spot. They're all just
And
lifting
you
you
love
up.
the broadcasting.
I love it
Isn't that
because
great?
I still get to travel the country, talk about our great game, hang out with my netty mates, but I don't have to train.
See, sometimes
That's
maybe
brilliant.
for women
Do you
listening
train?
too-
Do you train? Do you work
I-
out now?
no,
or
I
not?
if I've sweat,
Or do you
I've
go,
done
I don't
too
want to know
much.
about it?
No, I go to the gym, but that's just so I can eat and drink. It's not to stay fit.
But still
Yeah,
a different
yeah.
skill from playing, netball to when you're broadcasting and commentary. But it's a thing we were sort of saying for women listening if they want to change. Now, Carolyn, yours was a major change when you're doing stand-up comedy, but yours
Oh,
is maybe a bit
God,
more
yeah.
of a transition. But it's interesting when you can have that career and talk about it. Like, I flew forever. I was 30 plus years flying with Qantas, and now I do some aviation spokesperson and talking on TV, which is just kind of a nice thing, a thread. When you've had a career and that might have ended, like my wings are now clipped, but you can still sort of have that thread going through. But I love the story too, and because you've written a book,
Yeah.
which is incredible. And
Which was set on a plane.
Which was
Yeah,
set
I
on a
was thinking
plane.
that,
So I want to
yeah.
hear about that, but I think it was you, Cath, was saying, we was talking about with airline stories because we've got a
Yes.
million of them.
Oh, God.
But weren't you on a flight
Was it
recently
you?
and a bloke put his penis on
Yes.
your shoulder and, was trying, what happened?
Haven't you had that on a plane? I've had that.
what happened?
I would love to sit down and
Weird.
listen to your stories because I'm on a plane every other weekend and I
Yes.
feel like they're escalating. I feel
Oh,
like
that's
every week
interesting.
there's
Yeah.
something happening.
Describe what happened.
yeah.
So this guy, I'm always in the aisle seat because I hate being trapped.
Yeah, no,
course.
and by
being
the time you
tall.
stand up.
You need to put your legs out too,
And,
wouldn't you?
and that. There's a bit of that. Anyway, so I got on, and I think this day I'd got on early because I had cabin baggage and I wanted to make sure I got a spot. So I got on, got that there. So I was sitting there. This guy gets on late and he's in the window seat. And I'm oblivious. I always put my earpods in and I'm listening to some music or doing whatever. And next minute I could feel something on my shoulder. And I looked over and he blatantly, as he was putting his bag in the overhead locker, was rubbing his penis on me. And as we talked about in No Dribble, Yeah, I'm pretty sure you know where it is.
You know where your penis is, mate.
Yeah. So he,
But hadn't he also said to you, I'm happy to sit on the aisle if you want to
that was
take the
after he
window seat?
penis
Oh,
slapped me.
was it
Oh,
after
yeah.
he
I
penised
thought it
you?
was
Yeah.
a retaliatory penis
Oh,
slap.
no.
No, she was penised.
Yeah, I was penis, so I was not very obliging in swapping
I've actually
seats
had that
after
once when he was putting but there was hosties either side of it all trying to push it in, and I'm thinking I couldn't go forward, I couldn't go back, and so he just was whatever. It was so weird.
You see it all.
So I was
But
penised
that really cracked me up. But what about you? How did you get set?
you
Tell
see
us
it
about your
all?
book.
Do you see it all?
I've seen a lot of things
I can
there.
imagine.
When I talk about the Mile High Club, and the funniest thing was that because it happened quite frequently, and when I said it on air on Sunrise,
Why wouldn't I barely fit in the toilets? I'm just wondering how you get two people.
me
in.
too.
I'm thinking about the hygiene. There's no less
I
sexy
know.
place
Do you
on
know
the
what? Do you know
plane.
what blew me away? That it was people sort of thought that I was making it up, like as if it didn't happen. And so the people who flew, especially I flew back from the 80s and 90s. I mean, a lot more things
Were we
maybe
naughtier
happened back
back then,
then.
because-
I think so. And
More
it was just kind of a
free-spirited.
frequent thing. But I want to hear about
The toilets would have been bigger though too on planes, wouldn't they?
Well,
Probably.
they normally try and go up to the
Probably.
sort of like the bigger size
Well,
ones.
maybe they didn't even go into the
But how did
toilet.
you get inspired to write your book? Tell us about that.
So
What's it called?
It's called We Only Want What's Best, and it's set on a
Okay.
plane between Sydney and LA. And it's
great.
Yeah, it's because it's such a great environment. And I went to a writing workshop once with a guy named David Roach, who's a screenwriter, and he talked about creating a single arena. So building tension by creating a single arena. So you can do that by making it timed, so it happens just over a weekend, or it's a really cold environment, so the weather is sort of stopping people from, behaving in certain way. And I thought, well, this is on a plane. And one of the things I wanted to do was examine, if you don't know what the right thing to do is and you can't Google context or information or whatever, how much can you be certain of your own instincts? So this is about
Wow.
kids in danger with a pedophile, and it's like, but it's also about trying to understand, well, what's art and what's pornography. And so much of, I'm never really clear. I'm not a very visual person, so I look at art. Do you remember that thing years ago with the photographer Bill Henson?
Yes.
And
Yep.
it was
Yes.
this huge lather around the country about
Yep.
these images of these girls, and the police investigated and
I
said
know.
this is not child pornography and blah, blah. But everyone seemed to have a really clear idea of what they thought about this. And I thought, yeah, I can see that point of view, and I can also see that point of view. And so the whole thing for me was about putting someone in a situation where they weren't able to go, explain to me the different points of view, help me understand this from an expert's view or whatever. And so, unfortunately now you can get Wi-Fi on planes, but I thought it was quite blissful for a long while, where it's like you just cut off there. And so that was why I set it on a plane, was to put this main character of the book under pressure of just having to go, something feels wrong here for me, but I don't know whether I'm confident to call it out or not. But this is a
Wow.
kid potentially in
So it's
danger, so,
grey
the stakes
area.
are high. Yeah.
You know, the other thing that annoys me about planes these days is I used to love getting on the plane. Maybe it's a little bit more forward of the fuselage.
You want to turn left, yeah.
But now if you sit down and they go, and I thought it's a metaphor for the world. You get this window that goes up next to you. You don't even say, hi, how are you?
Oh,
or whatever.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I used to love sitting on a plane and go, hi, how are you?
Would
Have
you
noticed
still?
I like to chat?
Wow, because I definitely
I
have
find it
a
rude.
get effed
Yeah,
sticker
yeah.
on my forehead.
But you pick it up.
You
sort of straight
do.
away,
You
know.
get a vibe, and
Yes.
it was nothing more than
put
just
the eye shades
I'm
on, it's
20
pretty
hours
obvious,
with you
you
on this
know.
plane, and it wasn't an evening one. Obviously, you're going to sleep, different ball game, but it was daytime. It was like a 9 a.m. flight or something ridiculous. It was just using it as an example.
Yeah.
With all that going up, how you were saying with Wi-Fi now, you used to chat more and whatever.
True.
And now everyone's like
Yeah.
on like that
Yeah.
until they get off, and you go, I don't know.
I'd be more inclined to talk to people at the pointy end of the plane.
Yeah, maybe. Or the bar. It's the
you
Emirates
don't know
bar
who
that
you're
I
sitting
love.
next to up that is.
Just
I
go
can
down there
remember
and chat.
these. I flew from Darwin once in the 90s, and I was sitting next to Mark Bouris. From
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And then
He's
another
rather
time I was
dishy.
flying from Hobart to Sydney, and I was sitting with a guy who was a scientist for CSIRO, and they did those ice core drilling things and it's like just fascinating people who it's like, I'm not going to meet you in normal
No.
day-to-day life. And just, it was
Not on the
it
bus
was nice.
up the road, you won't.
No.
It's like there's time.
Yeah.
Time to share a story. Remember out of Joburg, Nicola was flying, was working on the flight, and I was lucky to be put up the front, thanks to my gorgeous buddy.
You're in 1A.
I
Excuse
was.
me.
Oh,
I'm going,
It's nearly on the
could you get me a
captain's
drink?
lap.
She's
Yeah,
going.
that's right.
But there was some scientist next to me.
That's
and
true.
it
Yeah,
was
exactly.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I was just like gobsmacked. And again, on a plane, just sharing stories, you know.
This is the
But
best
now the
part of my
window
life.
going up.
Yes.
Or I dribbled on a guy coming back from
Dribble?
LA last year. Oh, funny that.
That's not true.
No, I
she did dribble
I
on
was
a guy.
asleep on his shoulder apparently.
Yeah.
And I
It's all fun and games till somebody
my
dribbles
legs are up
on
on
you.
the wall. You know how you put the what is it? The front part of the plane there with your
the
bulkhead. You
My
know-
feet were
you
on
know
the
the
bulkhead,
terminology.
and he said, "Oh, and I
could be
couldn't
a
go to the
hostie.
toilet because your feet were up." And I went, "So I've dribbled on you, and you couldn't go to the loo because my feet were up. I am so sorry." And guess what? He's
Join
come
the
up.
Mile High Club
No,
again.
there was a
No.
fog. Sydney was fogged.
He
No,
couldn't get
definitely
out.
not. He'd
Di
run.
had him locked in.
We was fogged in, and we had to. And I said, "Oh no, I'm so sorry. You're with me probably for another hour now." And I'm just going.
Oh, can you imagine the sight that you would have been though, with the feet up and the dribble out?
Because I went, oh my God, I'm so tired. I've been partying, you know. He was just like, oh my
I
God.
once woke up to a man standing on the seat. He had one foot on either armrest
What?
because I was asleep, so he was trying to get out without waking me. And I woke up and it's like, what the hell's going on here?
Well, I won't complain about a penis on my
That's-
shoulder. You
Yeah,
really have it in your
exactly.
face. Oh my lord.
Well,
He was
Isn't it
trying
funny?
so
Lucky he
hard
didn't fall
not to
inwards.
wake me. And it's like, well, this is an awkward moment.
Imagine waking up to that though. What's the funniest thing that's ever happened on your podcast?
Oh, there's a few that we've been in absolute tears.
Well, the penis one was quite good.
But
Yeah.
amongst yourselves too, I just see you guys. It makes me laugh because the three of you, when you got Liz Ellis there crying,
It's
Yeah.
and again, I'm not into netball, and I enjoyed it so much. It's incredible.
We did one show out of curiosity, Google what the average height of a female was.
Yes.
And we were all gobsmacked.
So I'm 5'2". Liz
Yeah.
and Kath,
6'2".
6'2".
Do you get a
Whatever.
sore neck?
Are
Do you get
you?
a sore neck?
Well,
Well, we sit down, which
Talking
is,
to
which is not.
Well, don't be like that.
I'm
She's
their
a walking
diversity
motorbike.
hire, I would say. But so
cute.
they live in this world where they think they are normal height, and I'm saying no. I am much closer to average height than you are, and so we googled it one day, and Liz and Kath are sure that everything on the internet is wrong because the average height for women is probably 5'8", 5'9". It's like, no, it's 5'4" in Australia.
It was 5'4".
Are
It was,
you
I think it was
serious?
5'3".
Maybe.
I'm actually shocked.
wow, okay, 5'7".
Right.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
the
we're about the
same.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that apparently is normal height. But you went on to say, well, where are all these little people? Because I don't feel like I see people my size all the
That
time.
is so
That
good.
is
Where
so
are all the
funny.
little people?
Hey, Kath,
That
do
is
you
so
have to
good.
be, because I've noticed the trends too, because I mean, I couldn't play for Australia anyhow because I'm not tall enough because I'm 5'7". Has the sport got really like basketball that nearly everyone's a minimum kind of 6 foot to get in? Most
They're
that
huge,
competitive,
yeah.
Right.
But
competitive
the
area.
best, no.
Is it the
but
chickens? The hormones of the chickens?
There is something going on. Most of the goal shooters in the league now are probably 6'6".
Wow, so it's
But-
really like
yeah,
basketball.
but the
then.
best thing about our
Yeah,
sport is
exactly.
they all probably used to look like myself and Liz, and that taller and probably a bit leaner, but they are muscly, strong women. Now, the mid-court look
Yeah.
like footballers.
Yeah.
They're so strong, and I love that about our sport. It's gone from being really aerial to just really strong and just really tough athletes and really powerful, which I think is really great for kids watching the sport. You know,
That's
they're
so
not...
good. And what about with equalisation? We had Lane Beachley on, and she was sort of saying how, you know, when she first started surfing and being a world champion, being a female, her pay, what she would get was peanuts.
Laughable.
Yeah. Whereas now it's pretty much equal. Maybe not quite, but it's
Parity,
really got
getting
there. How is it with netball now? Are they getting? Is it getting funded?
Well,
is
look,
it
we
getting
don't want it to be
popular? Is
equal. We want the men to suffer for as
Yes,
long as
yeah.
possible because we have been trying to fight the fight. No, look, I mean, obviously we all want
is
it
it
to be the
changing,
same.
Kath,
It's
or-
changed. Look, I don't think we're ever going to be in the same realm as an NRL or an AFL.
Yes,
The gap is too big, and we have always been trying to close that gap, and we've done that. the players playing now are professional athletes. You know, Liz and I would have loved nothing more than to have been professional athletes. I think back in the day we'd get maybe $2,000 and 2 rolls of strapping tape, maybe a couple of pairs of Asics.
Yeah.
That's what we were looking at.
They were the
that
freebies.
Liz Ellis, the captain of the Australian netball team. And to this day, I think probably the most well-known Australian diamond netballer.
Yes,
even though she's been out of the game for so long.
Yeah,
But
that's interesting.
that's what she was looking at. So the players now would be easily making a couple of $100,000. But it's still, you know, a long way away from what the men are making. And I think the good thing for us is that there's a lot more competition from the other women's sports. So the women cricketers are making an absolute ton by the time they go to India and play in the IPL and the rest. Obviously, there's the NRLW for the women and the AFLW, which is great. That's competition for us, but it's also as a mother of a daughter, so great. Yeah. Like, I love that there's competition, and my daughter doesn't know what a male sport is.
Right, yes. And is
Sport
she
is
following
sport.
in your footsteps?
She is. She said to me the other day, I think I like dance more than netball, and that was like a bullet.
Oh, is she tall?
Yes. So when she asked if she could do company dance, I said no.
I bet you did. I bet absolutely not.
I'm just going to nip
I
that
want
one in
you
the
to
butt.
be you, but I want you to be an approved version of you.
Whatever
Correct.
sport it is, I think
Correct.
we all, and for everyone there, you know, you're sort of saying, Di, about devices and things like that. It's just such a great thing, whether now pickleball's coming in and there's all these other popular sports. Say yes to it all, because it's just good to have a break from the devices, play sport, the exercises and the benefits. What would you say is sort of one of the biggest benefits that you've got or lessons that you've got from sort of playing sport?
So much.
What stands out?
So many things. And I think there's been so many occasions where I've been challenged or something's not gone my way, but they've been the best things for me. It's that resilience, it's coping, it's being able to understand what being in a team's about, it's leadership, having a voice, but also knowing when not to use that voice. I think there's been a lot of great things that I've learnt along the way. But, you know, you were referring before about the boys appearing on the scene at a certain age.
That's
and I think
right,
for
yes.
netball and probably a lot of female sports, that's our current battle.
Yeah, it is.
And
The
that how do
teenage
we
years, isn't
retain?
it?
Yes.
Yeah,
How do we
interesting.
retain those athletes? And I
And
think
what's
it's
the
about
plan?
Well, it's about making it a bit more
Hormones, isn't
accessible,
it? You know?
isn't it?
Locking them up in
Well,
a,
it's
in a
about keeping
backyard.
girls in sport, whatever the
Yes.
sport is in the
Yeah,
first instance. 'Cause
absolutely.
There's a big drop-off at around about 14 when they start to get interested in boys. They get more self-conscious about their bodies and things.
Yeah.
And, you know, further to what Cath was saying about the changing body shape of athletes, it's wonderful. Like I'm sure you grew up like I did. I was on a diet for 30 years because I thought this body is taking up too much space in the world. I just need to make it smaller. So
But now the girls are on their glutes at the
Yeah,
gym
yeah,
and
yeah,
like
right.
lifting
And
weights.
protein and muscles are
great.
in.
I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
the gym.
Yeah.
I love,
Great,
and there's so
isn't
many
it?
more women. It used to be a lot of guys in the gym, and now it's like balanced.
It's
And I love
fantastic.
that.
Now, tell them, and you're still, you know, young women, really, but, you know, we're all kind of aging,
Really?
really. How do you feel with aging now? You know, you're no longer in your 30s.
So
how do you
I'm
feel?
55.
Yep.
I started CrossFit at 47 and I had never been, I'd been like a go to the gym, do your grapevines and step up and down from your steps and things. And always
With your
been,
G-string leotard.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd always been into it, but not much. That was just about weight loss. That was all I was interested in. Was not, and I started CrossFit at 47. And I think if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have had the courage to do stand up because it made me think
Wow.
differently
Stronger
about what
all
I could do.
round.
Yeah. So I'm
Love
lifting
it.
weights
Isn't
and
that
thinking I didn't know I could do that, and if I had failed, then that wouldn't have been a problem. So, you know, it created greater confidence for me. And I think that so for me, my relationship with my body as I get older, I'm liking it more. That I'm appreciating my body so much more and thinking. It just makes me sad. I think I wish I could have had this when I was 15, and I see these young women coming into the gym now and doing these incredible things and looking at their bodies and going, this body is well suited to blah, and I'm going to maximise the potential in that one thing. Not all going, we've all got to just not eat for a week because we're over, you know. And it's so wonderful, and I think that you know, anything that you can do to make you feel stronger as you get older is fabulous, because we know life gets better, but you just need your body to keep
love
up.
that.
Right?
Life gets better.
Nico's the white walker. She'll walk for hours and hours, and she'll do yoga, and I'll do
like
Pilates and gym, and I sort of play golf. If I play well, I love it. And you know, it's like you. I have to be honest. I'm in my 60s, and I look in the mirror now and I actually love what I see. Now, I never did that when I was younger, and it's really powerful I think, to be able to say that. Yeah. It's really powerful to say that.
And aren't you sad for little Di?
It's your truth.
That it's like that you couldn't.
Not sad. I don't go back. I'm very present. Yep. I live in the moment, as in I don't care about my age. I don't. It's for the first time in my life. It's about me, myself, and I. It's not kids and family and parents and everything now. It's like I look in the mirror and I go, wow, I really like that. And it's like weird to say that.
None of us act our age, though, do we? Either?
No, God, no.
It's all energy.
It is, isn't it?
Some do.
You want to be a big kid.
Some women do, and I go, that's cool. That's your choice.
Yeah.
But I don't try to be younger. It's just I think everything's up here for dancing. You know, if you think and believe and eat and dream
forever.
that way. True, I mean that. That's us to a T.
Do you remember the Osti frock in the 80s? Like,
I hate to say it, but I do.
What is it? The Osti frock.
frock.
So it was a line of clothing, OSTI, and it was designed for women about our age. And now you know, only if you were doing like a comedy skit about an old lady on a farm in, you know, just in the middle of nowhere who was super old. You know, these shapeless dresses that, and this was
A-line?
Like from the neck down, A-line.
and they were
Chin.
there was nothing about making women feel good or look good. It was just kind of like, this is your destiny, and it's really nice that is not there anymore, that women are now, you know, it's like it used to be maternity wear was just like that walk around in a tent and then sort of.
So true, the A-frame, like that. Yeah. Where it's so good when we're all about kicking ass as we age and we're all about sort of inspiring people, and you two certainly are huge inspiration. And encouraging one another as women, as people out there, it's fantastic to see.
Yeah,
of all different decades, 40s, 50s, 60s.
I must be the 40s.
40s, 50s, 60s. Is that how it goes? Who cares?
Absolutely.
Well, guys, I'm
What's
excited
next for it? What about with No
podcasting.
Dribble? Because do you do some events and tours and things like that, or
We do want to dip our toe in that. We did last year. So ahead of one of the test matches, we actually had a meet and greet. We had just across the road from where the game was being played in Homebush at Olympic Park, and we had, I don't know, a few hundred people there.
Brilliant.
Oh, it was so fun.
It was so fun. And they're
so
just
much
like
love in the
us.
room.
They love
The
their
energy.
netball. They love to have a drink. They
What a
love to
fun
have a
thing to
laugh.
do.
And it was
we're gonna have
amazing.
the first back fence one, aren't we, Didie? So we're
Yes.
listeners
Yes,
here.
that's
It's going to be
coming
coming
up
up. We'll be
in May,
giving some
isn't it?
more info coming up.
Couple
shortly
hundred.
on
Yes,
that.
please.
So,
If you like that
a
info,
little
that sounds like us.
back fence one. I tell you, it's always going to be fun if you double in,
Like
triple in.
naughty fun. Yeah, and we'll
Exactly.
have some of the guest speakers that have actually obviously been on the podcast will come.
amazing.
And we'll probably just have all friends.
I'm
going to
go out on a limb here and assume there'll be a glass of wine.
Oh, there might
I
just
don't
be a
know
Liz
about
McGuigan
that.
drop or two. I think so.
I'm available that day. Whenever.
Well, we've
Sorry,
some
remember you
about-
said you were going to get dizzy? Sorry for digressing. Remember in Canberra, you went, you were a bit dizzy, a bit lightheaded. She was going down, as you know, to Parliament.
Hang out
in
with
Canberra.
Elbow.
And she went, not feeling though. I should have a water. No, I'll have a wine. Champagne. And I thought next minute I'm dizzy, I'm about to go out. I said, go girl, bit of sustenance.
Well, his word to a wise when we had our event. Kath had
Yeah,
to
some
go and
tips,
do
please,
commentary,
ladies.
and
Yeah.
Liz is the chair of Netball Australia, so she had to go and do official duties. But I was like, great, I'm just here for a good time. And by the time we got to the game, the event was over. I stayed around after these guys had left, and then we all moved over to the game. And I'm sitting in the seat, trying very hard to stay awake. It was like watching a Sunday night movie. I put my body on the line in the name of
girl.
duty. That was my
Well,
thank
I'm
you.
on the line
Thank
for
you.
one.
Oh, wow.
It's my number plate. And no dribble on planes.
Any last minute tips, netball, anything? Any last minute tips from you ladies?
Do you know, we've hardly even thought about it. The season's still, a month away,
Yeah.
and we forget to talk about it sometimes because we're having so much fun on No Dribble. But
We have bought you both your present though.
Oh,
So this is
wow.
our No Dribble checklist. So
I need that when I
It's a
fly.
tea towel.
The merch.
I'll put that on the guy's shoulder when I
look, it's a
fly.
little bit gendered, but we all love
What does it
tea
say
towel, don't
here?
we? So-
High performance hell.
Yep.
Scrunch
Tick.
it in. Oh, yes.
Scrunchy on. Tick.
Yeah.
Nervous weed.
Tick. That's so true.
Coffee inhaled. Tick, tick. Tick, tick. Lucky knickers /bra/socks. Tick. And, of course, the last but not least, fake tan, which I don't need. Fake tan, done. Tick. Netballers do it without dribbling. Love that.
So I guess my only tip would be
That's
just make
great.
sure
Thank
that you're
you.
ready for whatever the day is going to throw at you, right? Lucky
That's
knickers and
fabulous.
coffee are my two big ones.
I love that.
I
Guys,
love
you'll
that.
love, and because you can't forget the name, tick you after my story. No dribble. You can't forget
No
the name.
dribble.
So you go first, Knickers.
Okay.
We're going to
well,
throw
gonna
some
ask-
questions at you.
Lovely.
Okay, Cath, what makes you happy?
Being happy. How dumb is that? But just smiles, laughing, being around good humans.
I love that.
I love
Carolyn,
that.
you're next. What makes you happy?
Being busy makes me happy.
Yeah,
Like I find
stimulated.
I can get in my head too much if I'm not busy, but I've always got a million things going on, and I like it that way.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
interesting.
Like the
Yeah.
heart rate up and the blood pumping and
Yeah. No, I get
Active.
that.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah, I
active
like
women.
that. Sense of purpose.
Yeah.
So imperative.
Sense of purpose and belonging.
Yeah, I love that. If you had the opportunity, Cath, to meet somebody over the back fence, who would that be and why?
Do you know I got this down to celebrity crushes? Is that okay?
Oh, we like a few celebrity
Yeah.
crushes. Come on.
But I went with,
letting
the,
her
I
out.
went with
Watch
the
out.
taller one because I thought he'd be able to see over my fence a little better.
Ooh.
Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan back in the 80s.
Wow.
What a
Just
specimen.
do it. Just do it.
Oh,
isn't it?
yeah, I'd like to.
And what question? and what question would you ask him, Catherine?
She doesn't
Come
have to-
on.
She
know
doesn't
he
have
can
to
dribble.
talk.
No. Well, the other one was actually going to be David Beckham, in which case we don't want
You
him
don't
to
talk.
talk.
No,
you
that's
don't
it.
talk.
Exactly.
100% NO. Yeah. And what about you?
I like that.
Carolyn?
David Beckham's a great one.
Yeah.
Isn't
It is a
I wish
beauty.
I'd
When
thought
he
of that.
speaks, he's not.
So,
No. What about you?
I reckon I'd love to have an opportunity for a good old chinwag with Barack Obama. It's like, tell me the drum. What? Yeah.
That's amazing because someone asked me this at a dinner or something recently, and I said, and they said, why? Because I said he had such conviction and such great intentions. He just got lost in the wash of the bureaucracy. Because when I lived in America, I couldn't understand the health system, how it was swayed towards people who had money, and he was the one that broke
Triumphs.
Obamacare.
Yeah.
So good looking
And
too, wasn't he?
And thank you.
And he's
Easy
got
on the
swag
eyes.
and he can
But I
dance.
loved him.
And he also
can
was
dance-
so
you can
interested.
dance to
Like
the back
he
fence.
reads widely. He loved Fleabag. You know,
Yeah.
I just think he's someone
He
with
loves
a
his
lot of
wife.
different interests. Yeah, yeah.
Michelle.
It doesn't matter which side of the fence, excuse the pun, you vote as a
Yes.
person for what he stood for. Just
Yeah.
as a person, I have to honour what you just said, truly. Yeah.
Well, I like them both, and they
Oh, there
both
you
share
go.
the same colour.
There's nobody
don't
she
they?
dislikes.
Funny about that.
Interesting. She's just a bundle of love, this woman. I'm so lucky
thank
to do
you.
the podcast
But
with her.
so lucky.
No,
And
I mean
it's
it.
friends. We've only been friends for 40 years.
I know.
And, we do
I
share
think
back
it's
fence,
too long.
truly. So there you go. I know,
We do. Back
Now,
in my
ladies, do you hurdle the fence, or have you put a little gate in there?
Oh,
or-
That
my
would have
dad
to
used
be
to
a
make me my own
netball.
hurdles. So,
I'd get caught on it.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be pretty.
So you walk around to the front door.
We actually do.
Sometimes, but it's a steep walk at Palm Beach. It is.
You need to put a gate in.
We actually do drive. But yeah, it's beautiful. It's like
Yeah,
I
it's-
never
it's
tire
paradise there
of
and the
this,
birds
this,
there.
This human being I'm blessed.
We
to have met
laugh every day, don't we? Every day. And we
went
hope
to
everyone
Hobart.
else has had a few.
I laughed for 24 hours,
Yeah.
didn't I? Even sleeping, she
Oh,
was
we
in the
did.
room next door. I was laughing. I'm going, what
So
joy!
Yeah.
And as you all know, because I hear it on your potty with Liz Ellis, it's you guys just get the joke.
Yeah.
And
Remember
it's-
fun,
We're so
fun,
lucky
fun.
it sort of just doesn't feel like work, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
No,
exactly.
it's not.
It's a
Well, we
I
hope
can't
all
even
our
decide.
listeners have had some fun. We certainly have. So don't forget to rate and review. Send in. Come on, let us know all the netballers out there as well. So and we like the ratings too. If you can do that and share the potties. Now, Diane likes to give her own ratings.
how
and
many
stars.
people are playing
What do you
potty
think
in
for these
Australia?
ladies?
How many people play netball in Australia
Come on.
right now?
Oh,
Ballpark.
How many in a team, Dodie? Do you know that?
No. All I know is
7 in a team.
I only know
There
I
we go.
lost my
I'll tell you
tooth.
that,
yeah.
That's about it.
You've got PTSD. That's
Yeah, she
okay.
has.
I do.
We can work on
I
that
actually
another
do.
day.
That's right.
You can
What do
lie
you
down
say
on
on the
this
potty?
couch.
Where's let's lie on the couch.
Bring a
What is
dentist
it?
in next
We
time.
need to have therapist time. I love that when you said that. But no, I would say, did you say that there was...
There's over 1 million involved in the
Okay,
game.
so I think for these
umpires,
guys,
coaches.
for this potty, 1 million out of 5.
Yeah.
Not asking for much.
No, appreciate that.
Let's be sensible.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, we'd
Thank
love
you.
to
having
today.
me.
Thanks, guys.
Ciao, ciao.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.